should be able to hear me and see me. Hi, welcome everyone. This is Tanya Dantas. We'll be going live in just about 10 minutes, but apparently if I don't hit start broadcast, the people can't see me. Now? No, not yet. I'm just doing a little tech run. Just reload. I did something on my end. So I have a friend who's helping me do a little tech run, and let's see. So anyway, if there's anyone on, I see there's no viewers. Oh, now you should be viewing me. Yeah, it says I have one viewer. Is that you, Beth? You can just type into the chat box also right there. There's a group chat. Now there's two viewers. Hi. I don't know who the other viewer is, but there's two viewers. Okay, so I think that should be working now. I can hear you and see you now. Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you so much. I'm going to check something. I'm just going to check the screen share. Okay, so let's just try that. Beth, I'm going to just, so I'm going to show you a PowerPoint presentation. So I'm going to take you to that real quick. It's a little bit annoying for a second, but okay, that should stop in a second. Okay, there we go. So, all right, yeah. So I hope that you can see this. Now you should just be hearing me, and you should see this beautiful image on the screen, Healing the Sacred Feminine Wound with Tanya Dantas, MA Alignment Coach. Yeah, is that, I just want to make sure that's working, and then I'm going to stop screen sharing. And is that good? Did that work? Let me just make sure with Beth. Not seeing the group chat space. I don't know where that is. I don't know where that is for you. I see it. Okay, cool. You saw the slides and stuff. Okay. Perfect. Well, anyone who's coming in, you're welcome to ask any questions. You're welcome to ask any questions while we're waiting in the, I don't know how you figure out where the group chat is. Anyone have any suggestions on that? There's 3 viewers tuning in now. Wonderful. There's apparently a chat box that is on the side, and you should be able to type in your questions. We're running a little tech rehearsal here for you ladies coming in. You're more than welcome to just come in, make yourselves at home. We have more viewers coming in. Yay, welcome. I am doing a little tech run with my friend Beth, and we're trying to figure out, I don't know, can any of you see the group chat? You should be able to see a group chat where you can type in questions. Beth is not able to see that. Do any of you ladies see that? And if, oh, no, we have only 2 viewers. Let's see. Okay. I don't know where the chat box is. Are you still there? Okay. Just gonna put a little background music for the moment. Yes, it's weird. What's weird? What's weird? You're typing. Let's see. Okay, I'm waiting for my friend to type in. I'm just gonna grab something really quick. Let's see. Okay, here we go. I can hear and see you, but can't comment unless I come out of the video back to the main screen. Are you seeing any of the comments I'm making in your video? No. Let me see again. No, I don't see any comments. I think maybe you're making them in the Google Plus, and this is not. It should say group chat. I don't know. It's okay. Just don't worry about it, Beth. I think that maybe I don't know. I don't know what your screen looks like. But in mine it says group chat or chat, and then group chat. And so let me see. Okay. Hi, welcome. I'll turn off the music. So we're just going to give a few minutes for everyone to come in and settle down, and then we'll do a little grounding meditation, and then we'll get started. How does that sound? So happy that you're here. So happy. Can't even tell you. Been so much looking forward to this, and I know some of you have been too. Just gonna go ahead and close the door back there for a second. And okay, so I want to give a couple minutes. My screen is not showing a group chat. I can see and hear you fine, so that's good. Yeah, no problem. It's all good. All right, so I'm gonna give just gonna give a few minutes. I wish if any of you can see the group chat, would be wonderful if you could just press the little, there it is. If you could press the little, if you could type something in the group chat, just so we know that it's working. We seem to not have been able to get it working for some reason. Great. Any of you who are coming in, if you could just type into the group chat something. Otherwise, I'm not sure how we're going to do the Q&A part. All that work just all of a sudden. Okay, so letting everyone settle in and get grounded, and such a beautiful day over here. It's already afternoon here, and it's about 4 o'clock over here in Germany, and it's been a beautiful day. We've finally been having some sunshine over here, and I've been so much looking forward to this call, and I'm so excited. I know that the other possibility is that you could type in your questions onto the Google Plus event page. Since the group chat seems to not, thanks. Okay, thanks. Oh, you look gorgeous. Thank you so much. That's so sweet. So what's going on is, so I see you can type, okay, Amy Baker is watching. Okay, cool. So awesome. So happy to have you here, Amy and Beth. So what you are gonna wanna do is you're gonna just, let's see, oh, perfect, someone just answered. The chat box is there for you for YouTube, but not Google. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Amy. That just answered our question. So apparently, if you wanna join the chat and have ask some questions, you have to join the YouTube page, which I actually said it was the alternate link. I said if it doesn't work, go here. You can go to that YouTube link. Okay, so I'm going to give it one more minute here. So at 5 after, and then we're going to get started. So yeah, so okay, I see it here, the YouTube channel here. You can ask questions here. The chat box is there for YouTube. Got it. Okay, cool. So she said it was the alternate link. I said if it doesn't work, go here. Go to that YouTube. I'm going to have to turn off the YouTube. There we go. Or else we'll have an echo. It's on the YouTube. Someone explained. Okay, perfect. All right, I'm just gonna stop with the tech stuff, and I'm gonna trust that all is working. you can either type your questions into the Google Plus event page, which is basically, how can you find that? It's that original page that you landed on. So if you're watching this video, you actually have to like go back, back and then type your question and then come back to the video. Or you can open the YouTube link, which I sent you. I sent you 2 links. I sent you the Google Plus, and I sent the in case this doesn't work, go to the YouTube, and this is the in the YouTube. I'm gonna close Facebook now. So Beth, I'm not gonna be in communication anymore, and I'm gonna focus now on the call, on the webinar, and I'm gonna really, where? Oh no. Oh, there, okay, it's all good. I couldn't see myself anymore. And I freaked out that I had to close this somehow. Okay. Oh, we only have 1 live viewer right now. I was really looking forward to having a lot of you guys live on really now. But perhaps Google Plus is wrong. All right. So let's just take a moment to get settled. It was a little bit of a flurry with the technical details. Hi, this is Tanya Dantas, and welcome to the Healing the Sacred Feminine Wound webinar. I'm so excited to have you here. I'm an alignment coach, and I've been trained as an anthropologist and a depth psychologist, and this feels like the culmination of a lot of the work I've been doing over the last few years. I'm so excited to get started, and I couldn't be happier that you're here with me on this call. So let's just take a moment to get grounded and centered and just acknowledge that we're here, feeling our sit bones underneath us on the chair, on the ground, wherever we're sitting, and just feeling all of that stuff that it took to get here, all of the technical stuff, all of the whatever. Maybe you just woke up and you had to get your kids to school, whatever it is, just letting it all go. You can light a candle either metaphorically or literally. I have mine right here. And I am going to invite you to just connect with your heart and to check in with what brought you here. What had you come to this webinar? There's something that called you forth here. Touch in with this space. And I want to invite you to just bring a fresh mind and a fresh heart and a fresh space. There's going to be a lot of information, and I invite you to take what helps you and leave what doesn't help you, and to ask any questions. Please ask any questions that come up. I'm so excited to share this with you. Let's do this. So I'm gonna start with a PowerPoint presentation, and if you have any questions, I invite you to follow along with your worksheet that I sent. And if you have any questions come up for you, I invite you to write them down. I give you a space at the end, and then there will be a moment for Q&A, and I will explain how you can type your questions. If you're not finding the group chat, I will let you know how you can send your questions, and I will answer them. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, let's screen share. It's gonna be crazy for just 1 second, and then it should all work. Healing the Sacred Feminine Wound. I also call this webinar Healing the Roots of Our Sacred Tree. Healing the Feminine Wound, Connecting with Our Sacred. Why did I do this? So you may know that radical, the word radical, actually comes from the Latin word root. And I invite us to step into the question, what is the feminine? Like, what is the actual essence of femininity? And then also, what is caring and nurturing in essence? Like, what is the act of caring and nurturing? For the sake of this conversation, I'm going to operate under the premise that the feminine is very, very much linked to empathy. Now, some of you may or may not know what empathy means. According to researcher and storyteller Brené Brown, empathy is seeing through a loved one's eyes. Empathy is non-judgmental. Empathy is not doing or trying to fix, rather understanding and communicating your understanding of that person's feelings. You're letting them know you get it, that you care. So in other words, in my own words, we're giving someone the gift of being heard and accepted. Now, we women enjoy this empathy pretty naturally. We thrive off of talking about emotions. We thrive off of relationship bonds, which is largely based on empathy and understanding. Yet, we also live in a culture that avoids recognizing or talking about emotion. Brené Brown, in her book Rising Strong, talks about how there are numerous complex reasons why the well is dry, why there's so little open discussion and engagement around emotion. This is from page 56. She lists 7 ideas that are rampant in our culture. Number 1 is being emotional is a sign of vulnerability, and vulnerability is weakness. Number 2, don't ask, don't tell. You can feel emotional all you want, but there's nothing to be gained by sharing it with others. Number 3, we don't have access to emotional language or a full emotional vocabulary, so we stay quiet about it or make fun of it. Number 4, discussing emotions is frivolous, self-indulgent, and a waste of time. It's not for people like us. Number 5, we're so numb to feeling that there's nothing to discuss. Number 6, uncertainty is too uncomfortable. Number 7, engaging and asking questions invites trouble. I'll learn something I don't want to or shouldn't know. So how many of you relate to one of these or a few of them, perhaps? I know I certainly did when I read this. And I certainly can identify how these beliefs were rampant in my family and in my, so thus in my home life and also in the high school I went to, examples. Historically, we as women have been silenced and punished and threatened for our natural attunement and wisdom. For example, one example is the witch trials. Often we're labeled crazy, weird, or witchy. One example of that is the word lunacy, which comes from being a lunatic, or if we take it further, from luna or lunar, of the moon. We see that it actually comes from being emotional or cyclical. So we find that the moon rules the water on the planet as well as in our bodies, which is our bodies are at least 70% water. Water is a symbol of emotions, and luna, our moon, also connotates being cyclical. So in our culture, the closest we come to that is being called bitchy, or worse, being asked if we're on our periods as an invitation to tone it down. So we do tone it down. We tend to avoid becoming aware of all of that material that is so natural for us to be tuned into, i.e. our intuition, our emotions, our cycles. This essence, however, that we have now identified and that cannot be disowned is the feminine. It is the very feminine. It is cyclical, it is lunar, it is emotional, it is creative, it is embodied, it is body wisdom, intuition, I might add, and nourishment. This feminine nature that is lunar, cyclical, can also be linked to the ocean and the water, feelings and emotions. We can also link it back to that empathic piece. When we're in tune with that water element, we can, in being in a moment of awareness, be aware of what another person is feeling very easily. We can be in empathy. Yet we live in a world for a long time where the spiritual has come in the form of the Holy Spirit or wind or mind. Religions, for example, talk about the Great Father. In its very masculine energy, mental, intellectual. Study the scriptures to understand or get close to God or the divine or the sacred. We've been cut off or disconnected from the Great Mother, in whose very bosom we wish to bury our face. The disconnection can be seen and witnessed in the great destruction of the Mother Earth, i.e. environmental disaster, global warming, as well as of our bodies through such global widespread phenomenons as childhood obesity, ADHD, diabetes, etc. So we long for this connection with ourselves and with the earth, and for nourishment and for mothering, and yet we tend to cut ourselves off from it. Going on, I know this is a lot, and I know I promised you this would be jam-packed, and there will be, as I said again, time for a Q&A at the end. So introducing Marija Gimbutas, some of you may be familiar with her work. She's an archaeologist and a scholar, very renowned, worked at Harvard, and she was just amazing. And her work was developing the idea of the goddess culture, where nature and its seasons are the very nature of things revered. So Gimbutas did her work with what was represented in the goddess figurines, the goddesses that you saw in the advertisements, in the marketing for this call. These goddess figurines, like the Venus of Willendorf, were found from Indo-European Old Europe, so from about 6500 to 3500 BCE. She found that these figurines, more than merely represent the literal shape of woman and her body, were also serving as a reflection of nature itself, Mother Earth, fertility cycles, the nature of things and of life. We could call this, generally speaking, the Great Mother or Goddess. It spoke to the seasons. It spoke to how when you planted seeds in the earth, they would reproduce, or they would grow and produce fruit. They spoke of reproduction cycles, so apparent in nature, with bees and pollen and flowers and so many things that are so much in nature. So it was in this essence that man wasn't actually made in God's image, rather woman was made in goddesses, with her sacred womb, just like Earth's gestating life, her milky breasts feeding and nourishing her creatures. Again, here in goddess life, everyday life, as described by Gimbutas in these pre-Roman, pre-patriarchal societies, was worship. Ovens, one of the things they loved to have were ovens in which they baked bread and they baked ceramics, symbolizing the womb of woman and earth, gestator of life, holy, that produced the holy bread, grain of the earth, and baked the ceramic, the sacred containers, the vessels of the liquid of life, water. They also worshiped the food, the fruit of the earth, as sacrament, enjoyed and revered as sacred. They had gratitude for the female form and its nurturance, for the mountains, valleys, the earthen curves and caves of the Great Mother and her cycles of fertility and harvest. They respected the cycles. They knew that that was what brought life. So now let's turn to talking about the great harmony that existed in the culture of the goddess, this time of peace, art, and order. What elements are or were there for there to have been such a culture where there was no war? This is one of the most remarkable qualities or characteristics that we see happening in these pre-Old Europe cultures of the goddess culture. It's that there really was no war. And so I'm going to call the elephant in the room. So oftentimes when we start to talk about this stuff, it can feel taboo. It can feel like, uh-oh, I'm being a feminist. Uh-oh, I'm feeling like women should dominate, like I'm going into these things, I'm getting into ideology that's scary, and we can start to feel defensive. And I wonder if sometimes we can feel like this message is implying that women are better than men, or this message is implying that women should dominate men. And I just want to be clear that that is not what it is. That is not at all the point here. I'm not indicating that we should live in a matriarchal society. And so perhaps that will assuage some of the fears so that we can then continue on to see what exactly these cultures were about. first things first, the culture I'm talking about was not even matriarchal. It was, matriarchal would imply some form of domination. Rather, it was an egalitarian society, which meant that men and women were considered equals. It meant, for example, when you talk about a matrilineal society, it talks about how the line of the family was kept through the woman. For example, last name. I don't even know if they had last names, but let's just use that as an example. One pretty sure example is that inheritance, for example, it was passed down through the moms. And so this was a key idea, and that there was no emphasis on paternity. So this is a huge point. So while if a father wanted to be a part of the birth, he definitely could participate, by no means was it imposed. The woman's father and brother and uncles would help raise the child. Translating that to today's terms, it means that there was not a concept of like single motherhood. Women were not shamed for whom they slept with or who they did not sleep with. Think about what that means. It's like revolutionary in contrast to our culture today. Nowadays, most people, when an unmarried woman is pregnant, they ask, who's the father? This was not a question during the goddess culture times. I guess it would have been rather obvious from who was present and participatory, and if it wasn't evident, it was just left alone. There was no shaming the woman for her sexuality, her choice to engender a child with someone or not. So let's take the issue of mixed families, where a woman bore the children. There were no terms like half brothers or half sisters. They all were children of this mom. So it was actually much more inclusive and much less shaming for women, and much more allowing for the freedom of the sexuality of women. Whew, I know that was a big topic. There's so much I could say about that. But I'm going to keep it moving right along. Okay, so number 2 was another element that existed in the goddess culture, is that that there was gratitude. There was gratitude for the food, the fruit of the earth, which was enjoyed and revered as sacred. Gratitude for the female form, its fertile nature, its fruits. All was given thanks for and seen to prove their work on the work of the feminine wound. But I just wanted to share that that we could go into the cycles, for example, and healing our cyclical nature. And in the future, I will go into that, but I'm going to leave that for another time. Okay, here's the message. The box is available as long as you don't have the video running. So I guess in short, have the video open in one page and the event in the other to talk to you. Yes, and thank you, Amy, for saying that. You can run the YouTube presentation. Make sure you mute it so it's not like you don't get echo there. And you can type your questions in there if that's necessary. Okay, great. Thank you, Amy. Okay, so moving right along. So in this presentation, we're going to return to where we started. So how like emotions are a source of such information and great power. Because of what I've shared above, we have been taught to mistrust our emotions, our cycles, the information they bring. We've been taught to disconnect. You can also see an article I wrote in my blog. It's called Women in Desire, Biting into the Proverbial Apple. That's a really great one to talk, that talks a little bit more in depth about that. And if you need any further evidence, just look at our cultural view on periods or menstruation. Rather than acknowledge how we feel, accept it, embrace it, and really take that time to honor and listen in, we medicate over it, we work over it, we risk being shamed for the most part in our culture for being bitchy, honest, or witchy and weird if we say like we're honoring our moon, you know? So another aspect of this is that the helping professions such as nursing, teaching young children, babysitting, working in a nursery home, an elderly home, being a staying-at-home mom, being the daughter that stays home and takes care of the elderly parents, are all professions that are either historically low paid or not paid at all, even though they're all tasks that any society would require to be complete. There seems to be a negative connotation, as we talked about with the Brene Brown quote, like you're weak if you're vulnerable, you're weak if you show this vulnerability. This negative connotation in our society to be caring and nurturing and tend to our feelings. I mean, you read that and you might think, what? Like, oh my gosh, these are amazing qualities for people to have, to be caring and nurturing and empathic. But yet people refer to this as having a weak spot. With our school systems and economy, we emphasize achievements. Oops, and I have an incomplete sentence there. We emphasize achievements over building relationships or the arts. Empathy, etc., are all important things. We just have to take a peek at attachment theory to see that. Taking a sip of water here, taking care. So a super quick peek at attachment theory. When one studies psychology, one spends a lot of time learning about attachment. Attachment is basically all that makes up the fundamental bonds we form with our primary caregivers during very early life. And the way these are formed, whether secure or insecure, are the ways that we will continue to play out our relationships as adults with everyone, unless we take the time to heal that. So I can tell you, this is what I was sharing, that I can tell you I did so many courses and workshops and trainings, and I may have gotten a lot, but it didn't do anything at the core or fundamental experience of my life until I addressed this key issue. When I addressed the roots of my tree, so to speak, what those bonds were, what had been lacking, i.e. like how my father was there for me, how my mother was there for me, how my nanny was there for me or not, that is when I started to really heal and see true transformation in my life. In some ways, this is why I keep mentioning Bethany Webster's Healing the Mother Wound course. And at the same time, I found this to be a bit of a broader issue than just the mother wound. This radical idea led me to start taking more ownership for the happiness of my own inner little girl. We as women, especially mothers, are expected to mother everyone else, and we tend to leave our own mothering outside of ourselves or for last. This is the key fundamental change I talk about as a coach. So going back to the emotions, the nurturing, the empathy, we may recognize in theory how important it is. Scientists that work with trauma recognize neurologically how important it is when we don't receive proper attachment or bonding as young ones. There are serious consequences in adult life, in theory. And in practice, we don't have time, or so we say. We just can't be bothered. We don't take time to do the deep, necessary healing. And now I'm going to take us down one more final big direction, okay? So I'm not the first to call it, but women, particularly daughters, are the ones expected to pick up the slack as emotional laborers of the family. And I really want you to listen in here and see if you recognize yourself in this. One of many examples is that wives are expected to take care of keeping family in touch. For example, reunions, to remember birthday cards, gifts, calls, graduations, births. These are all what entail kinship ties and labor that is easily overlooked and dismissed in our culture for nothing, alongside a myriad of other things that women do, easily taken for granted. For example, I already mentioned Bethany Webster, and I notice I haven't introduced her formally in this presentation. She's a transformational coach and author. Her website, her blog is Womb of Light, womboflight.com. And so she writes, patriarchal values that support the parentification of female children have been in place for centuries. The belief that female children are particularly adept as caretakers, emotional laborers, and the dumping ground for disowned family wounds and secrets. especially in generations of old, especially in generations of old, mothers and fathers alike felt a certain entitlement to the daughters, having them play out their own attachment wounds and feed upon their empathy, vulnerability, and powerlessness. Further, women have historically been the cleaning ladies of the culture, the proverbial of trash bin of unwanted emotions, expected to feel them for others and then blamed for expressing the very emotions that others refuse to feel. It's time to put down this role. We are clogging ourselves with material that blocks us from our own power and clarity, and we are protecting people from their own painful truths, the very truths that will free them. So I don't know if you see yourself in this part where you're expected to feel for others and then blamed for expressing the very emotions that others refuse to feel. Perhaps you've been called a provocateur, or, you know, why do you keep bringing that stuff up, or things like that. Bethany then goes on to explore Audre Lorde's powerful essay, The Erotic is Power, and how women are psychically milked in this culture because our capacity for feeling is used in ways that benefit those in power, usually men, but denigrated when we own it for ourselves. So she says, it's time to dismantle the false ethics of patriarchy that keep women stuck in the role of emotional laborers. And for women, patriarchy conflates emotional labor with a false sense of ethics. It's this false ethics that causes us to perpetuate our own internalized oppression. We're taught in various ways that emotional labor is an innate skill of women, and if we don't do it, the implication is that we're not a good person or a proper woman. This leads us to feeling suspicious of ourselves if we feel fed up with it. There's a tendency to feel shame when we approach our thresholds for carrying the emotional weight for others. Do you know how freaking in love I am with this? Oh my gosh, why I find it so liberating. And I hope that you will too. And I know this is like a really big thing. And this is my first presentation. So I kind of went overboard sharing all of this stuff, really wanted to give so much value. And now we're gonna have a little time to break it down. Let's see, so I mentioned if you're not part of my Feminine Empowerment Lounge on Facebook, you should join that group. It's my private community in which I share a lot of this stuff. Lastly, she shares most of her life's work is about the mother wound. So in the mother wound, we see how often our most potent resistance is to dropping the emotional labor we do for our own mothers. We feel guilty when we stop just thinking how our mothers will feel. We tiptoe around how our mothers might respond or react. And we don't allow ourselves space to just be daughters and receive and let our cup be filled and let ourselves be taken care of. Sheesh, right? So this is a huge part of the piece, and I invite you to check out her website, www.womboflight.com, for more information on that. Now, I want to give us a moment to shift out our energy and over into another aspect of the call, I promise, and that is bringing this into your life. So practical aspect of our call here. Take a minute, stop with the theory, take a moment, breathe, stretch, move, shake it out. Whew, breathe. Yeah, that was a lot of information. Thankfully, we'll have time to process all of it, trying to get it just all out. Just gonna give us just 1 second more here just to breathe before we go ahead, and we're gonna do a little exercise together. Yeah, take a sip of water, perhaps. I'm gonna maybe just check in real quick with how we're doing here. Not there, I mean, here, yeah, here we are. Okay, good. You guys are still with me. You ladies are still with me. Great. Let's keep going. So let's do the exercise now. So the exercise, oh yeah, I just had a fun picture there for you could do, you could do, what is this, lion's pose. Get out all the toxic stuff. All right, so let's do this exercise. Have any of you ever done a genogram? Do you know what that is? I'm gonna just imagine that you don't, maybe you do. It's kind of like a family tree. A genogram is a pictorial display of a person's family, relationships, and medical history. That's the definition from Wikipedia. It's a family tree that comes alive. So this is one example, a very simple example. You could just Google genogram, and you'll find, you can Google what is a genogram or how to do a genogram. That's what I did to find these directions, actually. This is just an example. I did mine as my own experience in my counseling psychology program at Pacifica Graduate Institute. And so you'll see the basics here. I'll just keep the screen up, is that you can, and you can feel free to run with it and make it your own, make it, you know, as funky and crazy as you want or as simple as you want. But the basics of it is that you draw a circle for every woman and you draw a square for every man. And then, you know, if they're married or had kids, you draw a line between them, and then you draw the kids below with lines down, you know, coming down, and then the kids below. And then you can get, you draw an X in the square or circle of deceased people. You can draw zigzag lines between people that don't talk to each other anymore, for example. Oh, sorry, wait, that's not what I wanted to do, hold on. Yeah, here's the, so you draw circles for females, squares for males. You can use horizontal lines to show legal marriages, dashed lines show committed unmarried primary relationships. You can, I mean, it's, oh yeah, thankfully I have a better breakdown here of a little more simple way to do it. You know, your worksheet with you have a little square space to do just like a preliminary one if you want to start drawing one. This is obviously like a whole field in the psychology world about family systems, but the main thing is just to draw one that helps you start to just notice the patterns in your own family history, i.e. your roots, what I'm calling your roots. So you can use the double / to indicate a separation or a divorce or a cutoff in a relationship. And people tend to include things like physical illness, disease, addiction, including alcoholism, of course, divorce, separation, extramarital affairs, if a person was involved in a war or not. It can get really interesting. You can find out, I mean, you can even interview your parents if you feel comfortable with that and find out more things, at what age people got married at, if there were single moms, if there were multiple marriages. Just, you're gonna start noticing as you're gonna draw it, like, wow, there's a lot of, I don't know, cancer, or hopefully not, you know, but just any example, there's a lot of single moms in my family. Another aspect that you might want to include and draw is, what about work? Did the women work? Did the men work? What types of work? Where did they live? Did they migrate? When? You know, what age were they when they migrated? Were they witnesses or participants in a war? Did they have to flee war? So there are many, many areas to look into. You may want to make a code and make a key at the bottom of your genogram and color code it and use symbols so that you can keep track and just start to notice like what happened with more frequency than not. And then you're gonna want to explore each of those like one at a time. Like, it can be a lot. So you may want to like make it like a little project where you do a little bit each week. You know, you moms out there, you might want to include your kids in the drawing aspect and like make it kind of a bigger thing and just involve them in like learning about their own family history. And then of course take private personal time to do a little bit more of the inner, more exploratory work and writing. Definitely doing some writing on what comes up for you, what feelings you're having, memories you have. You're just gonna want to explore and make a kind of like an informal analysis of yourself. And then the biggest thing is, how do these patterns reflect or not what is going on in your life currently? The more conscious one area of life, the more conscious one is about one area of life, usually we've we've evolved it. We've done a lot of transforming, and we're kind of not at all like our family or our parents. And then, of course, there's going to be areas where we're less conscious in, and it's probably not shifted as much. Perhaps we've been with multiple partners, or we have kids with multiple, different families. And the most important thing is not to bring shame. It's not about judging or, what is the right characteristic or the wrong characteristic. It's not about like a dual kind of judgment. But there are definite things that we probably crave for ourselves and for our kids. Certain ways of growing up, having like emotional nurturing and stability. We always need like the right kind of environment, of course, in which to provide that, foster that emotional kinship and ties and relationships. And sometimes our life has been full of situations in which we haven't been able to have that. And so this is a moment where we're doing this because we have the time and space to kind of look in and see, okay, these are things that happened in my family and happened in my tree, my family tree. And now I'm evolving them, and I'm going to shift them in this way. And we can bring consciousness and make a conscious choice about how we're going to live in our family, or how, we're going to, and this can shape a lot of things. Like, how are we going to do business? Are we going to work? Are we going to be stay-at-home moms and value what we're doing? So where do these play out for you in your own sense of belonging, in your own sense of confidence and self-worth? Can you maybe start to see how these lay outside of yourself and tune into a genuine desire to do things differently this time? Sometimes it can help take away some of the personal charge of responsibility. And I mean, that sounds a little bit like I'm letting you flake out, or, and no, I'm not saying like, I think there's a lot of power in personal responsibility, but it can also let you see things in a bigger light. Like, there is such a reward in shifting a whole familiar pattern. And it's not about like burdening yourself with the whole weight of a whole tree, but it is about seeing like, wow, the efforts I'm making in this one area are not only advancing like me and my own children or my own partner, but they're advancing my whole family lineage. It's like a whole chain that I'm moving. It's amazing. Also, how can you feel compassion for yourself, seeing how these things are not all entirely, quote unquote, your fault? Rather, they've been grooves or patterns that have been grooved deeper and deeper, like rivers with the passing of time and generations and cycles. So I say this because it can awaken a sense of compassion for yourself. Like, maybe it makes it easier for you to break silence about them and share. It releases not only you of carrying some family burden, but also sheds light on the whole thing. It brings accountability to your desire for shifting and transforming, but it also kind of leaves you feeling like you're not so alone. Like, you can connect to your ancestors and feel like they also knew what it was like to go through it. And now here you are at this brink of this whole new opportunity to make things so different for yourself and those to come. So we can begin to see just how powerful it is to work with this simple tool, but more importantly, how powerful it is to study what has happened, and how we feel about it, to devote time to knowing ourselves, our individual origin, as well as our collective origin, to know ourselves. Know thyself was said to be inscribed over the doorway to the Temple of Apollo. The entire quote said to have been, know thyself and thou shalt know all the mysteries of the gods and the universes. So what are we doing here on earth if not to know ourselves? And I say this again in this context because we talked about how much we avoid looking at our emotions and avoid talking about these things in our culture. It's very common nowadays that we don't grow up near our grandparents, and visiting those old stories, it's there for a reason. That sitting around the campfire and sharing our stories, our wins and our failures, brings so much and information and wisdom. If for so long as women, and still in some places, we were prevented from seeking higher education, from attending regular school or learning, even voting, the least we can do now is to question, to think, to reflect. Simply excuse me, simply because we can. So on a personal, individual level, our personal her story, and on a collective level, or collective her story. Looking at healing our own story and that of the collective. In sisterhood, we can feel loved, nurtured, seen, accepted, empathized with. We can find that connection and tuning that natural empathy we have toward ourselves. In other words, self-mothering and self-nurturing. We can start to take care of that inner child within ourselves and really birth the life that we've been gifted, the true life that belongs to us. Of course, I'm not talking about neglecting your kids. I'm talking about including yourself, your own dreams, your own symbolic language through body work, paying attention to your emotions, the stories playing inside of you. This work will have a tremendous impact on the raising of your child. By you doing the work, you lay the ground for true change for your child. You're changing the tree he or she is a part of. To tune into your own inner wisdom and intuition, you are unique and soulful. Your own unique path, creative, feminine, spiral, like birth, natural, sacred, and messy, non-linear. Not to be shamed. Your desires are valid. Your wisdom is valid. The sleeping woman must awaken. I want to say, remember to hold compassion for yourself as you open your eyes to the immense freedom that is available. Remember Plato's cave, that when you step out of a cave where it's been dark for a long time, the light can feel almost painful to your eyes. So remember to just be gentle with yourself and take baby steps as you grow and advance in this path. See what is happening around you simply in the birthing world. Women are claiming their own power. Women are empowered by seeing what is possible. Okay, and with that being said, I'm going to open up questions and answers. Hi, everyone, again. So like we had that issue with the question in the chat box. If you found it here on the YouTube channel, you can type your question in here, or on the Google Plus page. You can also just type it into if you have my Facebook, you could type it into my page, or you could type it, you could hit reply on one of the emails that you got from me. I'm gonna just see if there are any questions here real quick. Okay, I don't see any questions right now. I'm gonna give you a couple minutes just to like see if you send me a Facebook or you hit reply on the email. But then if not, I'm gonna move it along here. Let's see, any questions? Okay, good. Well, that means all was clear, or you're processing. And I invite you to really take, of course, good care of yourself. This has been a lot of information. And of course, drink a lot of water, and maybe journal after or tonight. And you're also welcome to just send me any questions you have via email, and I'll answer them and post them in the Feminine Empowerment Lounge, which is on Facebook. That being said, then I'm gonna just keep, there's one more thing. I was gonna, I don't think that worked. Let's see, how do I share screen again? I'm gonna share my screen once again. Yeah, screen share. Okay, cool. Share, and here we go. Okay, so it's my sincere hope that you got a world out of that presentation, because I know it is a lot. I made a special offer for you. So to empower you to get at the roots of your tree and unearth your power and brilliance, I'm offering a VIP 3-hour intensive and follow-up call. It's a special offer for you ladies that are here, and it ends this Sunday at midnight. So if you feel like you're ready to dive into your genogram or one of the topics we covered in this call, and you would like a sacred container and for someone to hold space for your process and allow you to go deep and dive for those treasures are there inside of you, and you would like some just official formal guidance, this is for you. You're gonna love it, and here's the full scoop. It includes a pre-intensive questionnaire, 1 hour, sorry, not 1 hour. It's a 3-hour intensive Skype session. We're gonna have breaks in it with me, and we can also split it into 2 1.5-hour intensives. That's the other option. And you'll have private email access to me for 14 days after the intensive. And then there will be one last 30-minute follow-up call about 30 days later, or why did I say 30 days? I meant either 15 days to 30 days later. What will we cover in the 3-hour intensive? This extended session will really allow us to deep dive into some of the personal material that came up for you in this call. We can explore your genogram and some of the roots of the feminine wounds, such as attachment issues or patterns, and how they're showing up currently in your life. And based on your responses from the questionnaire, I will guide you in going deep into the journey to heal your roots. Once we discover some juicy material, we'll explore how it's affecting your current life, tap into your own inner truth, and come up with ways that your soul is calling for the situation to be handled in the highest alignment for you. We'll conclude with concrete action steps and solutions, as well as some meditation, grounding, ritual, and prayer to concretize the transformation and seal the soil on the new seeds. Finally, we'll end the call with just a general review of the transformation to celebrate. So what is the cost of this investment for the 3-hour intensive? So I can tell you that I will not be offering something like this again for this price. So this 3-hour intensive until this Sunday night will be $199. After that, it will go up to $250 and last until the 3 available slots I'm offering are filled. So why should you do this now? Number one, it's very unlikely that like I already told you, I'll offer something like this again at such a low price point. Number two, deep work has big payoffs. So at times we avoid investing in our own selves and our healing process under the illusion that we can get things done quicker or in an easier way that doesn't involve feeling so many emotions. I know, because I've been there, like, oh, I'm gonna get my business going, or I'm gonna meet the right man or woman. And we can want to just do it all on our own, which I'll talk about in a second. But so sometimes we choose a coach or path that promises us the sun, the moon, and the stars over doing our work with someone who we know will make us go deep and feel our feelings, including our discomfort. So what ends up happening, of course, in the end, we realize there's no way out but through. So why not invest in your whole self, in your highest self, your best version of yourself now, and have the support on your journey with the accountability and support of someone who has done the work and is committed to getting you down the path as fast as possible with integrity and alignment. We never know the kinds of big things that will show up when we do the work. Big, deep inner work pays off like shortcuts cannot. So number 3, accountability. This is the other thing I was saying, that we try to do things on our own. We wait. We think, I'm just gonna keep on, doing it on my own, winging it on my own. I'm gonna wait until this one thing happens and then I'll do this, or I get a sign from the universe, or until I can get it for free. And the thing is that we've gotten so used to doing it on our own or going it ourselves that we've forgotten how to allow ourselves to be supported and how to ask for and receive help. And this too is indeed a part of the healing process. And of course, that with me as your partner, you'll be moving things forward in the right deep direction. You won't be stuck in that same rut next year. So why should I do this now? Number 4, you're ready to step into your dreams and your visions. You're someone who's serious about your process. You tend to think on a deeper level, and you've maybe done some coaching here and there, or read self-help or motivational literatures, but you feel like your big dreams and visions are somehow still somewhere far off in the future, and you can't seem to up-level in the way you imagine you can. And you're done dawdling, and you're ready to invest a little bit and get deep and move big things. We'll move gently, lovingly, yet firmly to uncover what is there, and then untangle the roots so we see what is yours, what's not yours, what's healthy and what's there to keep, and set you free from the stuff that isn't yours so you feel lighter, freer, and with clarity on what's next. Finally, I already mentioned you're a woman who thinks deeper and is serious about her process. You want someone who's not afraid to go there and you can trust and has the kind of training that is needed to contain a space like this. So if you're ready, where you're gonna wanna go is tanyadontis.com/goddess offer, goddess, GODDESS offer. And remember, it's only until Sunday at 12 midnight Eastern for the $199, and then until Friday the 26th for the $250. So, or the 3 slots, whatever sells out first. Okay. So that's it for now. In March, I'm going to be doing a call focusing more on the goddess rhythms and her cycles and all of that I alluded to, that lunar nature. So if you're interested in finding out about that one and just about all of the events and goddess and feminine wound, you can sign up to the list that will just have you kind of registered for all those calls. And that's tanyadontis.com/goddess list, GODDESS list. And just some resources here. If you're interested in this material and much, much more, I already mentioned, join us in my community on Facebook. It's totally free and brings so much material. It's called the Feminine Empowerment Lounge. You can just search that on Facebook. You can also sign up for my regular newsletter at tanyadontis.com/mailing-list. You can follow my blog, tanyadontis.com/blog, and on Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, Tanya Dontis. And last but not least, thank you. Thank you so much. I know you could be doing a million other things right now, and you're here. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to learn, grow, stretch, expand, dig deep. I'm going to stop sharing and say bye to you all before I thank you all so much. Have a beautiful day.